Just do the right thing. It sounds so simple, it sounds so silly, but this is genuinely the best short version of all of the research I've figured out thus far. Life isn't that hard. Just do the right thing. As long as you do the right thing, generally speaking, life is going to turn out alright. But the problem with this statement is that the right thing is going to differ from place to place, from person to person. One of my favorite people, Matthew, what's his name? Oh my god, I forgot his name. Matthew Crawford. He has said that geography is everything, and it's true. Geography definitely affects who you are, how you grow up, and the culture that's cultivated. But generally speaking, as long as you do the right thing, you're going to be all right. The general consensus between, I guess, the tips and manuals to life is, are you eating healthily? Are you moving your body and exercising? Are you getting enough sleep? How are your relationships? Etc., etc. Financials, money, all that jazz. Problems, solutions, relationships, progress. I can keep going in circles, but it really is as simple as, are you doing the right thing? Ask yourself, are you doing the right thing? Are my actions that I'm currently taking the right thing that I should be doing? I've realized today that I have no idea what really makes me happy. I thought that getting chores done and shipping things out so that people can receive their product would be, oh, woohoo, yaha, burst of satisfaction, dopamine, relaxation. Turns out that wasn't true at all. The thing that made me happy was just positive interactions with people. That's what really made me happy, as silly as that sounds. And then that made me think about, well, what makes you unhappy then? The negative interactions with people. And so it made me realize, oh, we actually have no idea who we are. I don't think we really do. Not until we write this shit out or we see it on a tangible piece of medium paper. That's how I've been processing my life. For whatever reason, typing things, whether it's through phone or on the keyboard, it doesn't feel real to me. The moment I don't see it, gone, out of my mind. But if I write on a piece of paper and I write with pen, the action of writing requires me to slow down. I can only go as fast as my writing hand would let me. But it allows me to organize my thoughts and not feel this sense of urgency of I constantly need to be efficient. I think whenever I type, it feels as though I am processing the information and it's getting on the computer, but it doesn't register. It's too fast. Everything is too fast. And so writing on paper and pen has been helping me a lot. And I like to use white paper. And I love, these are absolutely my favorite, felt tip pens. I like green, so I have felt tip green pens. And I don't know, compared to gel pens and the roller balls, these have been the best. They don't smear really as much, they dry really quickly. So, yeah, felt tip pens, paper. Writing on paper lets me see what did I write, that it's real and exists. Because the moment that I scroll down and I no longer see the previous page in the Google Docs, doesn't feel real to me. It doesn't feel real to me. And it sounds so silly. But I think it's partly because, the whole saying of we as humans, our programming and our biology is still wired for back then, and that all of our technology around us is advancing at such a quick rate, we are unable to handle it. My sister keeps making fun of me and saying that I'm like a caveman, that I go back to the Stone Ages, that I'll just send her messages through pigeon or an arrow or a bottle through the ocean. But I think there is really a value from writing and paper and pen. Go back to the paper days because everything is way too fast. I don't think it feels real. It feels like it should take more effort than it really is. But that's the beauty of today, too. Life is so fast, so amazing. We have the technologies to take advantage of. We can quite literally do almost anything we want, generally speaking, for the people who are fortunate to have access to such things. I've realized for the longest of time, it was my own fear of taking action that prevented me from doing most things. And that the moment I had begun doing things, it was easy. Everything is so easy. It's so much easier than I really thought it would be. I was scaring myself. In other words, I was being a coward, afraid to take action for whatever reasons I could possibly bring up. And when I finally just did it, oh, it was great, easy, no problem. We hold ourselves back the most. There are things that scare us, things that are preventing us from living life. In some way or another, many of us are a coward in some aspect of our lives. But it depends on us on whether we take initiative, take action to change things. From my experience of speaking to a number of people, I've noticed how some people believe that they are incapable of change, that they are just this one thing and they're stuck at this point. But this mentality doesn't allow them to grow, doesn't allow them to change. They are their own prison, their own prisoner, and the warden. We're ever so changing. That is the fundamental rule of being human. We're never truly the same. But even I realize that for myself, there are some aspects of me of which I believe, oh, I'm still like back then, but that's not true. I have processed my life through writing it down, by going back and trying to understand history, by confronting my fears, by killing my ignorance and learning as much as I could. I rushed through life in order to gain knowledge, and it has made me feel as though I've stripped the magic out of life. And there's this weird dilemma. I don't know if it was young me who thought of this or if it was watching House MD and other characters, but some part of me decided nothing matters except the truth. The only thing that's real is the truth. Therefore, truth above all else. However, the more that I had delved deeper into this mindset, I didn't realize until recently how miserable this was making me. I thought that in my pursuit of knowledge and understanding, it would make me happy. But it's anything but that. Typically speaking, gaining knowledge and the pursuit of knowledge doesn't make you happy. But what's the alternative? The alternative is to be ignorant, to not know things, and be at a disadvantage for certain things in life. It's a weird dilemma. I want to know things, but knowing so much also has a tendency to cause me to suffer. But I don't think it's just knowing too much. I think it's us being in our heads too much. Our lives are so good. Our lives are so easy compared to so much of the past that we have nowhere else to go but our minds. And we are driving ourselves insane because we are too much in our own heads. It sounds so bizarre, but you can see the shift over slowly happening in the culture where there are people who are saying, hey, I'm going to take a step back from this and I'm going to slow it down. That's why, personally, for me, I found that going back to paper and pen, fantastic way for me to slow down and give my brain a break. I keep thinking to the people of the past before they had the internet, the technology we have today, and I imagine, a majority of their day must be just working, just doing stuff. And sure, they can think about things, but they're keeping their bodies busy and therefore giving their brain a break from self psychological torture, something like that. The constant rumination of certain thoughts tends to be what damages us, harms us the most, generally speaking. And yet, we live in a world today where power is in knowledge, power is in mental work, mental power, and we've kind of foregone the physical aspect, thinking that, oh, the only people who do physical work are like brutes or they're stupid, etc. But that's not true at all. We are meant to be moving. We're meant to be doing stuff. We're not meant to be constantly in our heads. And so I've really been feeling significantly better just from taking a break from the internet. It sounds so silly, but this really is a solution. Get off the internet. Get off the internet. Just, what was the meme? Touch grass, right? Go outside, look at trees, look at animals. I don't know, chop some wood. I love chopping wood. I hate going to the gym. It doesn't feel as though I'm being productive. Chopping wood is constructive destruction, except where the hell are you going to go just chop wood? What? For many of us who live in cities and urban neighborhoods, where are you going to just go chop wood? And chopping wood with an axe is just so inefficient that you can't do that. It's so silly. My life is so good compared to the people of the past. I am using hard work like chopping wood as a form of recreation and exercise, physical activity, right? Something along the lines of, back then people didn't have to do exercise. We are the only people who were like, oh, you have to do exercise because you're not doing enough. Crazy. And so chopping wood is fun, but people don't really get a lot of opportunities to do that, generally speaking. And I have recently chopped down a tree, helped family out. Chopping is fun. It is really fun. There's progression to it because joy comes from progression, and I'm able to exert force because I believe in my time period, in my environment, in the culture that I grew up in, they demonized aggression, strength, masculinity, because it was deemed as dangerous to the female sex. And so I was thinking about it today. Oh, wow. I think a lot of us young boys and men are a generation of people who had to give up their powers, give up their aggression to appease a certain group of people. But in that way, it's kind of like telling a bird to don't fly, to give it the ability to fly, or a fish to, hey, don't swim. And that makes us depressed. Other people don't like us because we're weak and we don't have mastery over our body. We can't provide, we can't protect. But then we also lose the ability to protect the people we want to protect. Protect people that are special to us, the people who love us fundamentally. I think that's why there's such a big divide. People want family, but family don't work out the way that it used to be because so much has changed. There has been no real adaptation support to help everyone adapt to new times. There's a lot of stuff, but this is just rough draft first recording. Life doesn't have any inherent meaning, but as humans, we make meanings ourselves. Life doesn't have any inherent meaning, but we are the ones who make meaning. I've tried in the most bizarre way to gain as much freedom as possible. And this had led me to isolate, to detach. But the tragedy of this all is how lonely you feel, how extreme or true freedom is isolating. It's like a curse. We want what we don't have. And with immense freedom, lack of connection, what I wanted so desperately was to be tethered. But I didn't, from my perception, have anything I wanted to tether myself to. So I was talking about chopping wood. Chopping wood is so fun. It's you can't brute force it. You can't just swing wildly. You have to be in control. You have to be careful. You're using angles to see, okay, what direction is that branch gonna fall? How much do I gotta chop? You gotta kind of be like a beaver, like they're gnawing on the wood, but you gotta like chop, chop, step back. You hear that, chop again, and normally, because it's just a small tree, right? It wasn't those humongous like redwood trees or whatever, or those really, really tall palm trees. I would typically use rope. So that way, when I'm up with a ladder and I had hand axe, just chop, chop, chop. Normally, I'd have a saw, I'd have rope and other tools. I forgot it. Just had a hand axe and a regular chopping axe. It's fun. That's what I've found. It's fun to chop wood. That's my favorite exercise. Brutal on the body, especially if you don't know how to use your body properly. But it is really fun. You have to be in control. You really get into the flow state of it. But it feels good to see that you've done something, that you've made progress, that you have did something with your effort. The part that sucks, though, I absolutely hate, is digging the root out, especially because the soil was so rocky. I had to pickaxe, break up the soil, dig out, and then, oh my god, the soil was so rocky that it took forever to uproot the tree. And even though these trees aren't very big, they don't go very deep because suburban households, still a pain in the ass. Oh my god. Was a great time though, great bonding experience with my nephews, and I'm happy I got to spend time with them, chopping wood and digging, and then we went to the park to run. And it sounds so silly, but it felt so good to just be on a park trail near the ocean, feeling that wind hit you, and then it wasn't really sunny, I don't think, but it was just nice change of pace. I think that a lot of my life has been inside all the time. I haven't gotten to live like a normal person. And this is before COVID too, because I grew up with a overly cautious mother who kept me inside with reasoning that I'm trying to protect you so that you don't get into trouble, you don't get hurt. But this action made me so comfortable with isolation. I thought that as long as I was isolated, I didn't have to deal with problems. I didn't have to deal with her yelling at me or constantly saying, "Where are you going? Are you hanging with a bad crowd?" I'm like, what are you talking about? Huh? No. I didn't learn later on why she had to implement these drastic countermeasures until I learned some more family lore that helped me get closure to move on. But I'm moving on with my life. Life is going well. What was I saying? Chopping wood, chopping trees, productive exercise. I don't like going to the gym because I feel like, what am I really doing? I'm just lifting weights and stuff. Life is really simple. Just do the right thing. But there are general rules and things of knowledge that we are unaware of, I suppose. And I suppose that the next step to really help people is to educate them and kill their ignorance. Everything comes full circle. Everything is a pattern. No matter how much technology we have, we'll always live in the physical world. And so it's important to take care of our bodies, to be moving and be physically capable, whether it means lifting something heavy or running or, I don't know, swimming, I guess. And Just keep up your general health. It's really not that crazy. Eat healthily if you can, right? As much as you can. Sleep, get physical exercise. Try not to stress so much. How are your relationships? What are the problems in your life? Are you changing? Are you staying complacent? What do you eat? When do you shit, piss, take a shower? That's come on. That's really what life is. This sounds really crazy. I figured this out from watching Supernatural, the show with Sam and Dean. I was gonna say Venture. Sam and Dean. Oh my god, I forgot who they are. Winchester. Because I was watching season 8, and I was like, you know, watching up to this point, season 8, I began to see a pattern, and I was like, oh my god, that's what life is. Life is just a series of problems, your relationships with other people, your likes and dislikes, the food you eat when normal human stuff like necessities, bathroom and whatnot, right? Whether the characters are changing or staying complacent. That's what life is. That's literally what life is. Their patterns of behavior, their personalities, who they are. And so when we watch certain shows, we're watching it because we like seeing these certain characters interact with those certain characters in this situation, problem, dynamic environment. And then we like to see them grow or change or stay the same. And we like to see them interact with others. That's how I figured out life. That's literally how I figured out life. I think it was like season 4 or season 3. I forgot which one it was exactly. When Dean, I think it was season 4 or season 5. I don't remember. It's when Sam sacrifices himself to trap Lucifer underground. They promised each other, Dean, whoever makes it alive, or if one of us has to die and sacrifice herself, go live your own life. So Sam did that. Dean went to this woman named Lisa, and he said, I've been something along the lines with, I've been with many women, but when I think about who's the one who I'd want to spend my life with and who I'm most happy with, it was with you. And so that's to me how he figured out, oh, how do I know if I love this person? Okay, if there is anyone I'd like to spend my life with, it would be them. I am a person who rushed through life. I am a person who grew up in isolation. In a weird way, I have probably gained a lot of, I guess, education from internet, shows, games, and stories alike from these mediums. I don't feel like I'm a person sometimes. I think I'm very much like out of time. Not like I'm out of time, oh no. I mean, we're all dying, but I am out from a different time period. And so when I see things, I'm just like, oh my god, wow, whoa, wow, look at that. Oh man, shit's crazy. And in a way, this perception on life allows me to treat everything as though I'm looking at it through a kid's lens. A lens of fantastical amazement of, wow, I've never seen this before. I've never eaten this. Oh yeah, that's a thing. This is not, I'm not being ironic or being sarcastic. I get excited doing normal human things. I get excited doing normal human things because I didn't get to do normal human things. I didn't. I don't. I've never slept over at a friend's house. I've never. Oh my god. Oh god. I've never played a sport with other people that was like outside of school. I've never gone to a martial arts class by my like own decision and accord without like your parents putting you through it. Partly, and I do have explanations as to how things came about. Trying to be a good son, listening to your mother, doing what she says is best for you, but then realizing somewhere down the line, her idea of a plan that works out for you is outdated and it is not adaptive to the time period of which is now. I've seen so many other Asian kids who have tried their best to keep up the culture that their mom and dad have laid out and placed for them. Yes, there are people who are successful. I have seen very often, though, that the people who are successful, especially if they've been in America for a long time or they're born Asian American, there tends to be this sort of resentment. I've done everything you told me to do. I got the job, I got married, I got kids, I have great status and social standing. I have the money, I have the house, I have the car. And yet they're not happy. And I think it has to do with they are not practicing their own autonomy in being a good son or daughter. They have to go against their own self-interest because they're trying to appease the family, the culture, the societal expectations within that world. And I notice not just for Asian Americans, because I'm first generation Chinese American, I've noticed it in a lot of other types of people too. It's not an Asian problem specifically. I think it's a immigrant to first generation American problem where the immigrant parents would come from a different world, right? Different set of rules and understanding how the world works. And they try to hold on to their culture and their heritage in America in a different place as best as they can. But their children grow up in a completely different environment where there's so many different cultures all over the place, especially with internet and social media. The culture on the internet and social media isn't necessarily just one realm. And so I think there's an internal divide, an internal conflict of people trying to juggle their lives. And there's that quote, right? What was it? You only truly live when you realize you only have one life, because something along the lines of people are juggling, trying to appease others and trying to do what's right for them. I have been doing that for so much of my life, holding so many identities, and it drives you insane. You kind of forget who you are. You kind of lose a sense. You feel like there's these shackles, these chains on you everywhere you go. But it's the same thing of you're the prisoner, you are the prison, you are the warden. I think that you alone are the person who's able to let go of these invisible chains, invisible weights. But it's not as easy as just saying as let go. It took me a long time. I had, oh man. Oh yeah, it took me a while. I guess 2020, 2022, 2023. I have been reflecting and oh boy, I have been doing all that. I've been doing a lot of internal work for a long time. But I think it was the past 3, 5 years that have been the most progressive, the most life changing. I think that a lot of therapy is trying to understand reality for what it is, processing it, moving on from it, whatever you gotta do, confronting it. But what I've struggled with, and what I think many other people struggle with as well, in terms of doing this work, is dealing with the emotional content, whether it is anger, sadness, fear, paranoia, etc. You name the list. That's what I think. And so that's why writing was such a fantastic thing for me. Because we think that we know our lives, but we don't really know. We think we do. But until you write it down on a piece of paper, it's really hard to see this series of events, to see what has transpired as objectively as possible. I like to say something along the lines of our brains are like computers, right? We have RAM in our computers. I mean, in our brains, just like computers do, every so often it is beneficial for us to write, oh, what did I do today? Process, okay, keep track of your life. I went to go buy groceries. I went to the post office. I went to go see a friend. It helps you unload some mental RAM, freeing up space. I feel better. My nephews feel better. I think it's really helping me. But I don't know. I don't know what's going to be the shift to get people to just start writing. I guess, everything. So just, they'll figure it out at some point. I don't know. I'm just putting this information out there. I've been so isolated, partly because of the familial pressure and my desire to avoid problems by just submitting and putting my head down. But the other reason why I've been so isolated, and I'm not happy about this, by the way, like I'm actively trying to resolve this issue, pollen allergies. I have terrible, terrible pollen allergies. And I didn't realize that the place where I live is a fucking divot in the ground. And so all the pollen goes down to us, and that's why so many people gain pollen allergies. And I have the worst. Clogging and leaking nose, red and itchy eyes, and then if I sneeze, it's not one time, it's not two times, it's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times in a row. I wear a mask, helps a little bit, doesn't really. And then when it's not pollen, it's too fucking hot. And then when it's not too fucking hot, oh, well, no, that's right, there's still pollen. Because pollen, spring, summer's supposed to kill the pollen at a certain temperature, but it's still too goddamn fucking hot. And then fall, pollen again. And so the only times I could really enjoy going outside and breathing without feeling pain or like I'm dying is during winter. But during winter, it's too fucking cold. What the fuck? I want to lift this curse, this pollen allergy curse. I like nature. I love going out to nature, but I can't enjoy nature because these pollen allergies literally make it unbearable for me. Last year, I didn't have cloggy nose. I didn't have leaky nose when it was pollen season. But I realized when I was breathing, my heart was hurting. Pollen was doing that shit to me. What the fuck? What the fuck? That's ridiculous. I know that there's supposed to be shots for it, but I don't know. I need to look into it. Effort feels good. It feels good to do things. We're in our heads too much. The solution to a lot of our problems is to get out of our head. But another way to look at it is take action. Take action. The world belongs to those who take action. It doesn't matter how smart you are. It doesn't matter how much you can write or accomplish on paper. Until you've taken action and you've produced results, it doesn't matter. That was what I have been doing for such a long time. I was researching and researching and researching and researching, training. But in doing all of this, I was isolating myself. And you kind of forget why you're doing all this stuff. I think I have had enough research. I'm still learning here and there, and it's definitely improving my life. But the whole purpose of all this research was so that I could give this knowledge to my boys. But I realized in helping my kids, I could share this knowledge with everyone else because this is just knowledge I wish I fucking knew when I was a little boy. I didn't really have my dad and mom. And even when I did have them, it's not like the advice that they were giving me was really helping me in my environment. It really wasn't. I don't know what to say. Not that I'm ungrateful, but it didn't help me really. What was it? Yeah, no, I was a martial artist first. I did a lot of fighting martial arts. I was a warrior first. That's literally my identity when I was a little boy. And then I was a salesman. And then I wanted to be a food scientist. The dream was that if I could make the most delicious food in the world, I could bring people together no matter where they came from, what language they spoke. But at some point, I had a internal dilemma of what am I doing with my life? I could do nearly anything. I could do so much. Is this really what I want to do? Just making life ruining food, worsening people's health? And then I quit. And so now I'm trying to write books. I'm trying to make videos and share my research because in the weirdest of way, the unique circumstances of America allow it so that there's an audience of people who literally didn't have parents to teach them shit that would help them through life. And it's not really 100% the parents' fault. Partly it is that we are literally in an environment, culturally, historically, technologically, that's so different than the past that there's so much wisdom that our past people can give us to help us through life today. And I'm not saying they don't have a lot of wisdom to give us. There is, but at the same time, some things don't stick. The things that do stick are things that people have known for a long time, but some things don't stick. And I think it's part of this of, oh, you say things that don't make sense, therefore I'm not going to listen to the rest of it. But I've been scouring the world and books and knowledge and videos of scientific explanations as to why these things work. And so I think the project goal is essentially to have some type of book or a video system or a collection of life is a game, here are my notes. Because I grew up playing games. I grew up watching shows. And I realized of all these things, they're just patterns. That's all life is. Life is patterns. Games is patterns. History is patterns. Shows is patterns. Everything's a pattern. The problem is that we don't have the wall of text that shows us the stats, that show us where we are in life. The only way we can make life more like a game is by writing down our information. Something, the things that are tracked are the things that get improved upon. I personally have a hard time keeping track, writing things down, but I know the moment that I do, it's the moment that life becomes more fun because joy comes from progression. We feel good when we are seeing progress. So as I see me making progress in real life, that's going to create a positive feedback loop that's going to make me want to keep trying, keep learning, keep trying, keep learning, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. We are afraid of being bad at stuff. And that fear is what makes us hold ourselves back. If life is a game, what is life really? Well, you can also say that life is the genre of show that you are currently in. Do you think that your life is a romance? Is it a comedy? Is it a drama? Is it a tragedy? Is it PG-13? Is it 18 plus? Is there a lot of violence? Who are you? Like, these sound like so simple statements. Who are you? But it is a true thing to ask though. Who are you? What are your likes and dislikes? What is your patterns of behavior? How do you speak? What clothes do you wear? How do you dress? How you move your body? What do you eat? Who's your family? History. Patterns of yeah. But we don't know. And so writing, it all just boils back down to writing because writing allows us to organize our thoughts, slow down the brain, and create something that is real. That the brain, the mind, the body, the individual can comprehend as, oh wow, I actually have been doing some work. Here's the physical proof. When everything's digitized, it doesn't feel like I'm doing anything. It doesn't feel like any of this is real. And yet, I know that if and when I release this video in itself will be real. Life is, I think, a resource management game. We can play life focusing on currency or focusing on time, energy, focus. These are the resources that we have limited amounts of. I suppose you could also say like genetic material if you want to have children and whatnot. And then you can, boil it down to land and, workers and, all that other jazz. But life, generally speaking, is a resource management game. And depending on how you view the game as, you can break it down to, okay, well, what's the strategies? What's the meta? Why don't we talk about life tips as game strategies? That's the beauty of the internet and its relationship with video games. People are going to share the tips. People are going to share what works for them, but not everyone's game file where they start off in the world and their player character is going to be the same. But there has to be general overlaps that work from person to person to person to person, broad range. And that's why it keeps going back to the idea of just do the right thing. Just do the right thing. Eat healthy, exercise, sleep, good relationships, try not to stress so much, relax, etc., etc. Because it really just do be that simple. I don't know why we're overcomplicating it, but I suppose there is no just general book or general collection of knowledge that's like, here's how to be a person. There isn't. There is no book. There is no video. There is a collection of videos and a collection of books that are focusing on very specific topics. But I have gone around learning and listening to a lot of people. A lot of fitness people, a lot of nutritional and cooking people, a lot of martial arts, a lot of philosophers. I literally got my own education that way, right? I can list a few of them. First, it started with Bruce Lee. I didn't know Bruce Lee was a real person, by the way. I started with Bruce Lee, I think 2020, 2021? I don't remember. Started with Bruce Lee. I didn't think he was a real person. I didn't think he was like, push off, whatever, it doesn't matter. But then when I started really going deeper into his story and his character and what he really did, I was like, oh my god, that's amazing. It went to Bruce Lee, and then it went to Adam Sinicki, because Adam Sinicki, what's his name? The Pioneer. Love that guy. Fantastic guy. I wish I could meet him one day. And he was just talking about fundamentals and different training styles. So I even printed like their pictures of them so I could put on the walls, because I didn't have role models growing up, and I put the age of when they died too. So it's kind of like a personal game of, I want to live at least longer than Bruce Lee, so I can say, hey, I live longer than this guy. Adam Sinicki, the Pioneer, also was the person who told me about Eugene Sandow. And so, I'll put their pictures out, right? And then the Great Gamma, Gula Muhammad Baksh, and another Eugene Sandow, and another Great Gamma. But that's what I'm saying. I've studied a lot of other people. I was super interested in their lives and what they've accomplished. I like to find and study the people of the past so that I could gain their knowledge and see where and who did they learn from. So just go backwards. Bruce Lee studied and looked into the Great Gamma, the undefeated Indian wrestler, and then he also looked into Eugene Sandow, I think. They call him the father of bodybuilding. I think he's also an award for, like, I don't know, the bodybuilding championships. I don't know. But and then you go to Eugene Sandow, and then, what was it, Alexander Zass, and the others, I forgot, the strong men, the strong women of the past. And so I was looking at all the people of the past, because whether it's fictional or not, there has to be some truth to it. If they managed to accomplish the things that they did back then they've already proven that it's possible, especially without the scientific knowledge we have today or the technology we have today. If they could do it, we can too. And it should be even easier for us because we have so many more resources at our what was it? Disposure? That's not right. At our, I don't know. At our ability to use. I've been talking for a while. Forgive me. So that's what I did. And then what was it? I was looking for boxing. So who's the boxer that is closest to my height and my weight? And who do I like the style of? Mike Tyson. Okay, who did Mike Tyson study? Who was his teacher? What was his history? So I just kept going backwards and I kept looking for these legends. And even if it's like from anime and cartoons and TV shows, you have to imagine the author of these shows, movies, books, manga, stories, where do they draw their knowledge from, right? What was their inspiration? What is the truth in the story that they're trying to tell? And even if it's not real per se, it still gives us this theory that we were able to work with. And so that's how I've gotten to where I am now. Then there's I didn't actually begin using the internet and just consuming social media, not even social media, but just regular media like TV shows. I didn't actually watch a lot of American television until recently. I did. So, yeah, no, I rush through life. I feel like I am not a person sometimes, but it's my lack of connection. But I realized something. I'm happy when I have positive interactions with people. And when I have negative interactions with people, I'm learning to control my emotions better and to not let my feelings be stirred up or cause me to go mad. If we give our emotions complete control over our own lives, it will drive us to ruin. I think many people do not have emotional resilience, emotional maturity, emotional control. Life is so good, we don't necessarily have to grow up or be responsible, or rather, life is so good, we have time to worry about things that aren't necessarily problems. We have problems, but they're not as endangering as a lion, a tiger, elephant, not elephant, a wildebeest. A creature is trying to kill me. We're not constantly threatened with forces of nature. Life is good in the way of we have food, generally speaking. We have shelter, clothes, and so many access to everything the royals of the past wish they could have. And yet, I believe many people are catching on that this existence of jumping from dopamine binge to dopamine binge to dopamine binge is empty. It's hollow. You can drown yourself in addictions, escapisms. That's what video games do. Video games is also like huge bursts of dopamine, especially with sounds, visuals, gameplay. Escapism, addiction. Andrew Huberman, addiction is a progressive narrowing of things that give us joy. In order to overcome addictions, typically speaking, you have to change your environments and you have to take, behavioral activation or cognitive behavioral therapy. You have to take different actions and try to put yourself in a different mindset. I've found that when I catch myself feeling a specific emotion, or I catch myself, I guess the term being triggered, I take a moment, I breathe, I pause, and then I relax. This was, I think, from, Chris Williamson. He made a podcast with someone I watched last night. It was very helpful. I've been so reactive and so emotional for so much of my youth that I find that the current me today is very much working on slowing down, relaxing, not blowing up at every moment, because that lifestyle is unsustainable. It's not healthy. And I think that's what maturity is. I think partly it's slowing down and being in control of not just your body, but your mind, your emotions, who you are, your thoughts, your perception of life. I don't know. There's a lot to say. Of course, this is just broad spectrum things I can talk about. There's lots of stuff I could talk about, but I just wanted to make a video and put it out there, so at least I have something. I have something that's out there, so people can actually know what the fuck I'm about instead of just seeing me wash dishes, which is super outrageous, but it's true. I'll say this because I think I truly understand what a lot of young boys and men are feeling today in America, right? Seeing that I've lived through this and go through it as well. I think in a very basic but simplistic form is that there's a lot of us, a lot of warriors, and we don't have a purpose. We don't have people we want to protect or a community we want to protect. And as a result, this is what has caused the current state of events that we have today. A entire majority of a gender has been isolated and demonized and told that you're the problem, that there's no place for you, that you'd be better off dead. And it fucks with you. It fucks with your perception of life and everyone else around you. It isolates you. I don't think, and this is going to sound really crazy, but when you really think about it, you're going to be like, oh shit, he's right. I can't honestly think of a healthy, happy male role model in media that I could say I want to be like. I can't. For the sake of me, I can't. And the male role models that is on media, at least in America, for the popular shows, they tend to be men who are constantly laughed at or made as the butt of the joke. Idiotic fathers, people who are belligerent but well-meaning, and they're kind of foolish and stupid, but they have a good heart. Or they're strong and muscly, but they can be insulted and made fun of, and it's okay because they're a man. Or a superhero who has powers, and you're telling me that the role models I have are, I feel good and I have purpose as long as I am a hero who's sacrificing my body to protect others in need. If I have a family, a wife and kids, that is what's going to fulfill me. But then there's the times where, you make fun of the caricature of what people think a man should be. Or you have this super destructive, hell-bent on destroying the world and full of revenge people. Like, there's no real healthy, happy male role model. Like, when I thought about it, I was like, oh my god. Like, it literally made me, for like an hour, flabbergasted. I was like, oh my god, there is no healthy, happy male role model that's not in self-sacrifice or service for other people. There isn't. Superman, if you took away his powers, who would he really be? Batman, if you took away his powers, who would he really be? Even when we talk about Batman, right? He is a person who's fighting against crime, but he has to face the tragedy of his mom and dad being gunned down in front of him in a fucking alley. I don't think he's happy, right? Right? And I could do this for so many other superhero main characters, but I don't think they're happy. So you're telling me that as a young man, my role models are people who are self-sacrificing, people who derive their purpose from sacrifice, but they don't really get to be happy? Or that I have to be the butt of a joke and let other people walk on me because that's the culture we live in today? Like, see, and so there's no question as to why things are the way that they are, why there's a divide between politics and beliefs. A lot of history will tell you what's happened. What was it, 1960s or something? Something, 1960s, sexual revolution. I'm all for feminism, for equality, but I've also seen people use it as a sense of retribution. And you've created a group of people who feel like they're backed against a wall. That's no good, because in order for everyone to have a good ending, everyone has to work together and put aside the differences, but people are so divided. And so I've been thinking about all this shit, right? Because this is all relevant to our lives today, but that's just one thing of my thoughts and my research. So yeah, no, it's really fucking jarring. I guess you can say Shrek. Shrek is a I don't know if he's a healthy, happy role model, but I maybe, I guess. Who wants to be Shrek though? Like when I think of the recent shows I watched, who wants to be Dean Winchester? He's not happy. Almost all of his loved ones and friends and family are dead. Sam Winchester, not happy. Batman, I can't say he's happy. I can't say the Flash is happy. I can't say Spider-Man is happy. I can't. Wow, there's a lot. Thomas Shelby, British veteran, comes back from war. PTSD fucks him up super hard. He's like, he doesn't give a fuck. Walter White is given a cancer diagnosis. He's always done the right thing, but he feels belittled as a man, and he goes on a path of I'm gonna do everything I want because I want to do it for me, something like that. Ray Shoesmith from Mr. In Between. He is an assassin or a hitman, and he's also trying to juggle his life of having a daughter. He's divorced. He's trying to juggle dating and making friends. Same problem though, because of his line of work, his friends constantly keep dying. The people he cares about keep dying. The people he tries to romance and love keep dying. That's what he knows. That's his job. But he's not happy. He doesn't get a happy ending. He's miserable, I think. And so he has to step away from all that shit at the end. And he's just kind of living in the middle of nowhere. And we can only assume he's doing what he's doing. But that's what I'm saying. And what was it? Raymond Reddington? What was it? James Spader plays a character who's this, what was it, #1 most wanted criminal in America, I think, or something like that. And he's just using all his power to do everything he can to punish the people on his blacklist, criminals and the worst of the worst people who truly deserve it. But it's the same thing. Is he happy? I can't fathom a single male role model that's healthy and happy. Terry Crews on Brooklyn Nine-Nine. He has, like, if you watch the show, he is constantly sexually harassed by Gina Linetti. And it's supposed to be played off as for laughs, like, haha, he's a strong, muscly man. But, oh, he can take it, it doesn't matter, he's fine. But that's still sexual harassment in the most plainest, like, just watch the show. Look, watch the dialogue of which is made too. And so I can't say he's happy, right? You could do this for a lot of characters. Like, even if we talk about Mike Tyson, I love Mike Tyson. I love his story. I love how he's overcome the struggles and how he's been through it all, but he's moving on and he is growing as a person. He seems to have gotten more peace. But at the same time, you have to ask yourself, as much as Mike Tyson has gone through and, he is where he is right now, is he happy? Right? I can't think of a single healthy, happy male role model. I can't. I love Virgil Hawkins from Static Shock. Love that guy. Love American Dragon Jake Long. But same thing. Are they happy? Are you telling me the only way I could feel fulfilled as a young man, as a young boy, is to fight villainy, to be a superhero, to sacrifice everything to do the right thing? Is there no healthy, happy ending for a man today? And then it's like, oh, you want to have kids, but you also don't because you're afraid of the world, you're afraid of people, you're afraid of the legal system, the court system, and how it's stacked against you as a man. There's a lot of fear, a lot of uncertainty that's holding us back. And the more you dig deeper, the more it kind of makes you mad. Because you're like, what the fuck? Are you serious? Jesus Christ. What? And so I think in a way, I think many first generation Americans or just people who are American, a lot of us are people who don't have culture really, like an established culture, because people come from so many different parts of the world. We're trying to create it as it's going, but no one has really I don't know, just like made a universal connecting one. And I guess the closest thing is the political one. Yeah. Oh my god, that is, oh shit, that is why people get so political, because that is, as far as they understand, the easiest way for them to cling on a culture that makes them feel as though they're connected and they are with people who think like them and act like them. They feel comfortable with that group. Wow, that's crazy. Okay, I haven't thought about this before. This is just okay. Wow. So yeah, no, it's yeah, no. I can't think. I mean, I like Adam Sinicki a lot. He's great. You know, he gives a lot of information, and like there's other people too. I forgot their names, but you know, there's the Andrew Huberman. There's the Adam Sinicki. Fuck. What's his name? Ah, I forgot his name. He was like Hampton. Something something coffee with Hampton. He's fantastic too. I love all these guys. And then we can't forget the woman too, Nora Vincent. She tried to be a man to experience what it was like, so she could truly understand what do men go through, and love this woman. Love this woman because she had got a taste of a reality and it killed her. She killed herself because she couldn't handle this anymore. I mean, granted, I think she also put herself into a mental institution so she could write about what it's truly like too, and that didn't help. But man, Nora Vincent, I ain't gonna forget about you because you really, oh my god, you made the ultimate sacrifice and really wrote about it even back then. So, but yeah, no, there's a yeah, no, I can't. What healthy, happy male role model is there that isn't like a superhero, that isn't like a warrior, that isn't, you know, always like sacrificing to such a degree that they had to sacrifice their life? I cried so many times watching Mr. Sakamoto on Netflix because I realized, you know, the meme where it's this girl in glasses and she's like, "Oh, this is why I hate video games because it only appeals to the male fantasy." And then it cuts to like a clip of something else. Mr. Sakamoto to me, I think, is the modern day male fantasy of today. I think that today a majority of men want a happy family. They want a wife and kids, someone of which they can love and protect and devote themselves to, a peaceful life. And it sounds so silly, but wow, I was like, oh my god, I would. This is totally what I would love. Sakamoto is a number one hitman, kind of like the anime John Wick. Met this girl at a convenience store, fell in love, and they have a daughter. And it's so cute, it's so sweet, it's so wholesome. And I just realized, oh my god, this is what I want. To devote yourself to your family, to love them, and I would give up that dangerous lifestyle, the assassin, the hitman, the you know the violent lifestyle for them. It was the scenes of when this guy enters his life again. It's like, I have to kill you. I'm sorry. And then they eat food, and he's like, he's crying because he's never eaten food that felt so warm, that made him feel so good before, and that made me cry because I realized, oh my god, oh fuck, that's exactly how I feel. I've never had really the warmth of family, of sharing a meal with loved ones, feeling at peace and calm. Oh my god. Anyways, so yeah, no, that is, I think, the modern day male fantasy, but it's it's out of reach for a majority of people today, I think. And then I thought, so Kratos isn't happy. Kratos isn't happy. Healthy, happy male role model. Is Kratos happy? Not really. Not no. I'm pretty sure Kratos is terribly tormented and fucked up beyond understanding. Is Mario happy? I don't know. Who wants to be Mario? Is Link happy? I don't know. I don't think so. Right? So Yeah, no, there's a lot. I can't really think of I can't think of a healthy, happy male role model. I really can't, and it's really jarring because what this means is that the young us, we don't have anyone to really look up to in the sense of normally we would have our parents and our mom or dad or like whoever in our lives to look up to, but generally speaking, we don't have it. We don't have. I can't think of like, what, you want to be Musashi Miyamoto? Huh? You want to be Baki Hanma? How is that gonna work? You can't be Goku because he derives his joy from fighting. Goku derives his joy from fighting. I know that Goku was meant to be a Superman to encourage us to be strong to protect our loved ones, but the truth is that we're not Goku. We're not Saiyans. We're humans. We don't heal as quickly. Our foundation isn't as strong as them. You can even talk about Invincible, Mark, and Viltrumites. We are not Viltrumites. We are humans. In a way, the powers that Saiyans and Viltrumites have are the same powers that humans have in the idea of they get hurt, they get stronger when they heal. We do that too, but on a much smaller scale. It doesn't work out that way. We can make ourselves stronger slowly over time by breaking down muscles and applying stress and healing. That takes time, years. And then if we get hurt, it could set us back significantly. We don't heal as quickly. So we have the same powers as them, but on a different scale, right? Who wants to be Jotaro Joestar? Who wants to be this guy? Because he's not healthy, he's not happy. I'm pretty sure he almost dies a lot, and I know that he he has a daughter and he's living, but I don't think like art. Sorry, people create art and culture, and the art and culture influence the people, and it goes in a circle. And so that's why this was such a big deal to me, because I realized there's no healthy, happy male role model. There's no healthy, happy male role model of which young boys, young men could emulate their lives from, because we as children learn from imitation, right? Copying our parents and the elders and the people around us, the things that we see. So you're saying the only way I can be happy is if I'm a warrior? If I have the ability to shut down my emotions completely and destroy my enemies to protect you and protect others? That I need to be simultaneously this cold, unfeeling warrior, but also so full of compassion and love, and this beast in the sheets, and never feel sadness, negativity, or things that make you vulnerable, right? It's a lot of stuff that comes at us. And then when I think of the media, the role models for women, especially in shows, TV, cartoons, movies, and games, there's so many I could think of. Aloy from Horizon Zero Dawn. Shira is a big one of them. You have, I want to say, Steven Universe, among many others. I'm drawing a blank. There's just so many. There's a lot more. But no, it's crazy. It's crazy. Shit. I guess there's some anime, Katekyo Hitman Reborn. I don't even know how old he is. I think he's in the beginning of high school, so I think he should be 15. There's this kid named Suna. He's pretty useless, and he's failing through school. He doesn't really have good relationships. He's really awkward and very clumsy, but he's this very, I don't know, meek and compassionate child. I personally think it was Akira Amano. I love her, by the way. I think she was inserting herself as Suna, because I realized that Suna's a very feminine, I guess, character in nature. Meek, agreeable, afraid of conflict. But then as the story progresses, Suna gets a father figure in the shape and form of Reborn. And as they continue to grow, go through life together, Reborn introduces more people into Suna's life, and for whatever reason, they all love him. And that's what makes me think that, oh, what happens if Akira Amano was just a writing herself in this story, but just made her a boy? Because what are the logical reasons that I could think of that a bunch of these handsome ass dudes would want to flock around this one boy who's kind of useless and kind of, he don't really got much to offer, but he's caring and he's nice and he loves us all, and so I will do everything. Doesn't it sound like right? Doesn't it sound like, oh, you're writing as if you had a reverse harem of guys loving you and they would lay down their lives for you, and family is everything. And it makes sense, right? It makes sense that, oh wow, Suna, who was once alone, isolated, living on the care of his mother despite being a constant failure in academics and physical ability, has a father figure from Italy because his real father is too busy doing mafia stuff. And so Reborn, the number one hitman, has to train Suna because turns out he is the successor to the most, what was it, powerful mafia organization called the Volgola, which means clam in Italian. And he's like, no, I don't want this. I don't want this. Be gone from me, baby. Because Reborn is a baby in this form, right? And the character arc he goes through is, I'm alone and I'm isolated, I'm unhappy. I'm going through struggle. I'm meeting people who are dangerous and they scare me. I don't want to be around them, but I'm happier around them. I got children, like literally like 5-year-old children around me, and they're annoying as hell. And yet they've become a part of my life and I love their company. They're my family. I must protect them. The house is livelier, right? And I think a lesson that's overlooked for a lot of people who watch the anime is that, I guess, an underlying story, a theme or a message that has gone a lot of our heads over our heads is that having a family is what makes you happy or is what makes life meaningful. Making your family, found family, whatever you want to call it, that's what makes life meaningful. And so Suna makes this family. He recruits people. He shows compassion, shows love. And even though it can be a pain in the ass, at the end of the story, he's like, okay, I'll do anything to protect my family. And then, powers up. Before that, though, he would always have to be coerced, and he'd always be like, no, I don't want to do this. And then he does. But it's because he does it out of, if I died right now, what would I regret? And then he comes back with a flame on his head and like, clothes like torn up besides his underwear. You watch the show, you understand. And I realized, wow, it is a show. At first I thought it was mostly a story about resolve, and how as long as you have the will, you have the desire, then you will win no matter what. But I guess the message really was that family being your will, being the reason why you do things, is one of the most powerful motivators ever. Having loved ones, having family, having relationships, these are some of the strongest motivators that a person can ever have. And it's what makes the Vongola family the strongest above all else. Minus what the Varia do, because that's, those are other people. And so, yeah. That's crazy. There's a lot for me to go on about, but, I was talking about him because I was like, I guess he's happy. So happiness for men is when we take responsibility, when there's something in our lives that we're able to put effort in, something that gives us meaning. Not caring is freedom, but freedom is what makes life meaningful. Something like that. I don't fucking know. So, that's what I've been thinking about. I don't know. I haven't really organized my thoughts. I'm just letting it all out. Bleach. A young 15-year-old boy can see ghosts and spirits. He gets the powers to be a Grim Reaper to fight evil spirits and protect the people who are meant to continue on in the afterlife. He slays monsters and demons to protect his loved ones. But here's a really interesting thing. So down the line through his story, let's just skip to like episode, I don't know, like 300 something, 380 something, 350, I don't remember. But it's after a lot of stuff has happened, he loses his powers. He made the ultimate sacrifice. He gave up his powers so that he could defeat the big bad, even though he didn't technically defeat the big bad. But here's the really cool part about this season. He is lost. He is destroyed. The thing that gave him meaning, which was having these powers and protecting people, once that was gone, this man was devastated. He was so fucked up. You'd think, oh man, I hate fighting these monsters. Oh, I gotta protect everyone and I gotta almost die every goddamn time I do this shit. But that's what gave his life meaning. And even though it was this crazy, self-sacrificing, ultimate price task he did every time, it's what made him happy. It's what made him feel like he had purpose. So I guess you could say he's happy. I guess you could say he gets a good ending. But that's the same thing. Okay, so I guess, are you saying that the only way to be happy is that we need to be in a war? The only way we can be happy is if we are fighting and protecting someone? But I don't want to be in a war, right? Like, idealistically, I hope I never have to go into a war. I hope I don't have to go and kill other people and be on the battlefield, right? I've had my share of fighting and violence. Naruto, is he happy? His goal is to be accepted by everyone because he was shunned since he was a little boy, because he has this fox demon spirit inside of him. And in his attempts to save the day and prove everyone wrong that I should be loved, I can be loved, I should be worthy, he's successful, and it's great. It works out for him. He has a kid, you know, him and his wife and all of his friends and all the nations actually truly unite. I guess you can say he's happy, but I guess it's not even about who's happy, but it really is that snippet in time. Who are the people that we're able to emulate that makes us go, I want to live just like this guy. He's happy. He seems like he's got a good life. Like, we don't really have that. So that's what I mean. That's what I mean. So what are we supposed to worship? What are we supposed to look up to? The MMA fighters? Like, I like Khabib Nurmagomedov, and I liked learning into what's his name? Sean Strickland and Conor McGregor. But then at the same time, you know, in their own personal lives and their own shit, they also got stuff going on too, right? I liked Joe Rogan, I liked Theo Von and Bobby Lee and these other people, but at the same time, there's other things going on with them too, right? And it's the same thing with Andrew Huberman said this best. On the left side, they say things that make sense and I agree with, but then there's some things that I don't agree with. On the right side, they say some things that make sense and I agree with, but then they also say things that I don't agree with. There's no, like, just black and white thinking. Everything is like a shade of gray, and it's hard to be on either side because I think many people are simplifying their thought and just saying, we're this side and we're that side. There's no healthy male role model that I can think of. I can't think of. My friend, Tupac, not the actual Tupac, but his father named him Tupac. He said that when you were young, didn't you want to be George Lopez? I guess. I watched it a little bit, but not really, right? And it's the same thing. I didn't want to be like fucking Jackie Chan. You're telling me in order to be happy, I gotta be this martial artist warrior fighting and doing all these crazy stunts? You know, in order to be happy, I gotta be Bruce Lee. I guess it's not about being happy. It's about being fulfilled and being, I don't know, I want to say, I guess, relaxed, accomplished, something of that nature. I don't want to say satisfied, content. But it goes back to the same thing. There's no positive, healthy role model. And even the ones that, I have Musashi Miyamoto up there, and he's just doing this. But it's like, he's a warrior who's killed and defeated many people, but at the end of his journey, I think he's trying to seek peace or something, right? And I used to put up like Eugene Sandow and the Great Gamma and the other warriors, Mike Tyson. I learned after Marco Pierre White. I didn't actually study under him, but I learned from his videos and his philosophy. And I had a picture of him up too. But then what I realized looking at his picture was that he just wasn't happy. He just had the serious face of like, like whatever. I don't have the picture right now in my drawers, but as much as I love Marco Pierre White, and he has been a great driver into my philosophy with cooking, simplicity is best, and I do believe that as well. I can't really say he's happy, Like, sure, he's doing... I don't know. Because the Marco Pierre White that I was looking up towards wasn't a happy version of him. It was the perfectionist who wanted to prove why he was the best. Or prove his worth. But the story of his lesson is... You can't say whether you want something until you obtain it. All the doubts that you have mean nothing. You only know when you get to that stage. And only then are you able to say, do I want to keep this or do I want to move on? He gave back his stars because he realized that he's accomplished his dream and his task. He didn't want to do this anymore. Okay, but I liked him. I liked his way of doing things, but I didn't realize it was stressing me out. Bruce Lee. I liked Bruce Lee, his accomplishments, everything he's done, but he pushed his bodies to the extreme. He died at 33. He was abusing drugs. Not like, oh, it's the worst thing ever, but like, that's not a really good framework for me to work with, right? It's not. I think Bruce Lee died because he was overworking his body and the crazy stress his body was going through and the amount of drugs he was taking, right? Alan Watts. I think Alan Watts lived quite long, actually. But Alan Watts, I think he was a heavy drinker. I think he was also a great smoker, too. Not necessarily the healthiest example for me, but... I really liked Alan Watts, Marco Pierre White, Bruce Lee, Adam Sinicki, Mike Tyson. Even Mike Tyson, I studied him as a warrior, as a fighter, but then I really liked him as his character and his story and his philosophies. But same thing, when I was studying him, I was studying the warrior in him. I wasn't studying the peace-loving man came later, but I was initially interested in him because of the warrior aspect. David Goggins, keep pushing yourself because you're not doing enough, right? And you can say, I don't know if he's happy or not, but I know that when I was looking towards him for motivation and, like what are his insights, it wasn't because he was the example of what a good life could be for a man, or the example of him being a happy man. It was the example of he did the hard work. Against all the odds against him, he did it. And if he can do it, you can do it too. What was his catchphrase? Stay hard. Right? Yeah, no. There's a lot of people. Huh. Yeah, no, I've lived lifetimes. I rushed through life. I've lived lifetimes, and yet in the most greatest irony, I have barely lived life at all. Barely seen the world, barely lived life. I've done so many things and experienced so many things and have barely seen the world. Crazy. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know what else to say. I mean, if you watch to the end and you like what you watch, like and subscribe. Oh, God.